Recently, we've started seeing DoorDash telling customers that if they don't tip, that their order might be late. It's a great start, but is it enough? My apologies for being late to the party on this video. Several other content creators have given their perspective, so I figured I'd jump in and give mine. With apps like DoorDash, I find it flat out insulting when customers don't tip. After all, we're in our own cars, burning our own gas on our own time. I am so sick of the argument that they'll tip after they see how the service is. Bull. The service is that you get to sit on your ass doing nothing interesting whatsoever while somebody else performs a service for you that you otherwise could have done for yourself. That's the service. We're not waitstaff at a restaurant. We're not going to sit there and flirt with our customers for higher tips. Hopefully. Hell, in most cases, we don't even interact with our customers. Do these people expect us to go and set their table for them and then wait around for them to complete their meal and then do their dishes? Is that going to garner a $3 tip? Look, I'd be lying if I told you that I didn't harbor a certain level of animosity towards people who use these apps and don't tip their driver. I don't always agree with social norms. But tipping is a part of our culture, and if you don't agree with it, don't utilize a service where somebody performing the service for you expects to be tipped. It's that simple. On top of that, if they do use the service and don't tip, they have no right to be upset when they receive slow service. At this point, I think I've made it pretty clear that I have zero issue with customers being made aware that if they don't tip, they might get slow service. Alright, now that I'm done ranting about cheapskate customers that have no problem exploiting us, let's move on to the second part of this video and why I feel this message is a slap in the face to drivers. 1 month ago, my market's minimum base pay was $2.75. Now, it's $2. On doubles, it's $1 per order. My market wasn't the only one hit with base pay reductions. I got texts, emails, and a ton of comments from drivers all over the country saying that your markets were affected as well. DoorDash is not lowering customer fees. They're just keeping more of the money that would have otherwise went to us. DoorDash has a history of fear-mongering drivers about our pay. Meanwhile, they turn around and lower it in other parts of the country. I'd like to give you 2 quick examples of this. Recently, there was a bill up for vote in Colorado that would have given both customers and drivers transparency. That's it. That's all it would have done. But DoorDash blasted drivers with emails fear-mongering about us getting lower pay as a result of this. Personally, I don't know how DoorDash not legally being able to hide tips would negatively impact our pay. Let me know in the comments. While they were trying to scare drivers into telling lawmakers to vote against a piece of legislation that was actually good for us, they were turning around at the very same time and lowering base pay in dozens of markets by 50 cents an order. Alright, second example. About 1.5 years ago, the Seattle City Council was considering a bill that would have put a cap on how much in the form of fees that companies like DoorDash and Uber Eats could charge restaurants. Again, DoorDash blasted drivers with propaganda about how this would negatively impact our earnings. Apparently, it was going to lead to fewer orders and therefore would have negatively impacted our pay. That bill was trying to stop DoorDash from charging exorbitant fees. If anything, it would have resulted in more customers ordering, not fewer. Once again, DoorDash was asking drivers to harass lawmakers to stop a piece of legislation that was actually good for us. Hell, they even sent me that email. I have never driven in Seattle. These 2 examples have something in common. DoorDash wanting the ability to control 100% of anything financially related. Keep in mind, we are contractors and we should have every right to set our own rates and make informed decisions. Alright, let's turn it back to the no-tip message that customers are seeing. What's wrong with it? If this change were coupled with an increase in base pay, I would have been over the moon, but of course it wasn't. It was coupled with a massive reduction in pay in countless markets around the country. Basically, they just widened the gap between what they're paying and what the customer is expected to make up. Now, if they were lowering drivers' pay and in turn lowering customers' fees, I would almost have something that slightly resembled understanding, but that's not what we're seeing. To be honest, I don't think many drivers are truly aware how many customers are fed up with tipping culture in the United States. As a driver, if you're doing it right, you are almost never interacting with non-tipping customers. However, if you were to ask any content creator in this niche, I'm sure they'd back up what I'm about to tell you. There is a huge screw you mentality from many customers because they know drivers expect tips. If you would like to see evidence of that, go and check out just about any short I've posted. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Again, I want to preface this with saying I do find it incredibly disrespectful when somebody orders a luxury service and doesn't tip the person providing the service. However, I also understand the customer's frustration when they're being charged upwards of $10 in fees per order on top of marked up prices and then being asked to tip on top of it. I understand the frustration of getting raked over the coals in the form of fees and then being required to tip as well. Keep in mind, DoorDash isn't being transparent with the customers either, and many of them wrongfully assume that we're making far more than we really are per order. This is a great place to pause and press the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. What should have happened was a message from DoorDash saying your driver is going to earn $2 on this order before tips. All expenses, including gas, are covered by your driver. Be generous. That's what should have happened, along with a reasonable bump in base pay. Last spring, I placed an order on DoorDash for 2 sub sandwiches, and my total came to over $50 before I tipped. I think it is perfectly reasonable for customers to assume that we're making a lot more than we really are. Basically, in my opinion, this screen is nothing more than DoorDash being greedy, deflecting more responsibility onto the customer and keeping more of the money that should have went to us. This was one of 3 things that should have been done. The second being DoorDash actually being transparent with the customers and telling them how much the driver is going to earn per order. And the third, a reasonable bump in pay for the work we're doing. I'm of the opinion that this screen makes us look like assholes. Customers are going to assume that we're just being greedy, when the truth of the matter is, the only greedy party involved is DoorDash. They lower our pay yet again and ask the customer to spend even more to make up for our losses. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. It will not be long before we see base pay at $1 per order. Be ready to pivot on a dime. If you haven't done so yet, please do consider pressing the like button and subscribing to my channel. My name is Zach. Take care. My name is Zach. Fuck DoorDash. I probably shouldn't say that.